Welcome back, fellow travelers. I've gotten a few questions about Air Canada upgrades. They've received an email to bid on an upgrade, and they want to know if it is legitimate or not. Well, it is legitimate, and I'll explain a bit of the details around it so that you know the details and the eligibility requirements around them. You can bid either for premium economy, international business class, or business class transcontinental. Quite honestly, if you're going to be upgrading to business international, it'll definitely be worth it to give it a go. So the way it works is that you'll be taken to a page where you need to put in your booking reference and passenger last name. So just your last name that you have on the booking reference. Once you go there, you'll be prompted to go into the landing page that will have a slider which will allow you to bid a certain amount of money that you feel is reasonable for the upgrade. What happens is you can do this anytime up until 72 hours before your flight, so that you make your offer. You can change or cancel it as well. Unless, of course, your offer has already been accepted, you cannot cancel. And then at the 48-hour mark, you'll receive an email confirmation to find out whether or not your offer was accepted. And then from there, you're able to select your seat and so on and so forth. And one important thing to note is that even if you get the upgrade, the fare conditions of your original ticket don't change. That means that your cancellation policies and your rebooking fees are the same as you originally booked it. So if you booked in a lower class of service, with a low fare, you're not going to get the elevated benefits of cancellation and rebooking fees that might be waived for people who just straight out bought business class seats. Now you might be wondering, well, I've flown Air Canada, but I haven't gotten an email letting me know that I could bid on my flight. Well, not all flights are available. You can definitely check to see if your flight's eligible through the website that I've mentioned. And I'll take this time also to mention that if you are on an Aeroplan ticket, you can still put your bid in for an upgrade. There is an algorithm that's taken into account about who gets and who doesn't. One of the things that they also factor in is the obviously the bid amount that you put in. If you put in $100 and somebody puts in 800, well, the person that put in 800 is going to get it. Another thing is the amount of requests. So obviously if there are 8 open seats and there are 9 requests and you have the lowest one, you will not get it. So Air Canada does say you should pretty much put the maximum amount that you feel comfortable in bidding, and that's obviously the way a bidding system works, right? The upgrades are not available for tickets that haven't been issued yet. So if you have a ticket that's pending and you kind of want to see if you're going to be able to bid to get the upgrade, that's not going to work like that. So you have to have a confirmed ticket. Also, if you're in group bookings, so by group bookings, we don't mean like you're traveling like your family, code share flight. So if you have a flight that has an Air Canada number, but it's not operated by Air Canada, you won't be able to do this method of upgrades. This is really, you'd have to maybe check the other airline to see if they have a similar program. You also can't have a booking which includes an infant. So an infant's classified as a child under the age of 2. And finally, flights operated by Air Canada Vacations cannot be used for this method. These are because Air Canada Vacation flights are actually chartered flights. They're purchased or rented rather from Air Canada Vacations and then ferried with a rented crew of Air Canada crew members. One important thing you also need to note is that if you have multiple flights on Air Canada, you have to do a bid request for each of those flights that are eligible. So you can't just make one offer and assume you're upgraded all the way through. So essentially, once you've gone on the landing page, you verified that your flight is eligible for the upgrades, you've put in your request, there's nothing left for you to do other than sit and wait at that 48-hour window, at which point you will be informed whether or not you receive the upgrade. At that point, you select your seats. It's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty good way of generating extra revenue for the airline, but not only that, it allows you the option of really deciding whether you want to try to get a business class seat without having to, sit at the gate, hoping that there's an oversell, hoping that you fall into a certain set of criterias. Here, it gives you a shot. I personally think, as I mentioned before, if you're flying international business, you should definitely give this a try. It doesn't hurt to pay a bit extra for that business class availability. I highly recommend it. However, you might be wondering, well, what's a good amount to put on? I've heard of people putting as low as $200 for a flight from Toronto to London. They got it. I've had people go from Vancouver to Sydney and try to put in $800-900 and not get it because other people had outbid them. It depends on how many people are on the aircraft requesting upgrades, how full the cabin is. There's so many different factors, but the main crux here is that it doesn't hurt to try. You don't gain anything if you failed. You don't lose any money if you didn't get it. And finally, you do not have to really worry about paying too much because you're paying what you want to pay to get up there. One final thing to mention is that you need to have a credit card that's valid at the time of your bidding. You will get an authorized charge, so they want to see that you have that amount on it, and then after that, your charge will only be processed after your upgrade has been accepted. So you'll get an email notification advising you this, before your departure. So you don't really need to worry about that. You do have to have a single credit card. So you can't have it split on multiple credit cards. So there you go. That is pretty much everything in a nutshell about the Air Canada upgrade system. Anything else that you'd like to know, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you for making me a part of your day, and until next time, safe travels.